Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I'm gonna create this card. Or a card like it. I actually learned how to make this during a mystery craft along, which is one of the games that we played during Crafty Fun with Friends on Saturday. And this was a card that Delise, who is Stamper Girl here on YouTube, taught us how to make, and we actually named it during that live stream. We named it a Pinwheel tuck card, and I was complaining all stream long that I had so many leftovers and leftover scraps that were hard to work with. And so I feel like if I'm going to put out criticism like that, I should offer a solution. So that's what today's video is. I am going to construct this a little bit differently. If you want to see how Delise does it, you should check out the replay of that mystery craft along. It was on, it was the first stream in November. And what I'm going to do is use some craft color cardstock. This is about 60 pound or so. I cut two pieces the first piece is 4 1/4 wide by 6 1/2 tall. The next piece is 5 1/4 wide by 5 1/2 tall. And what I'm gonna do is have smaller glue tabs. So you can see this piece here, it's basically an inch taller, so that I can have 1/2 inch glue tabs on the top and the bottom, and then I'm just going to cut between those score lines. So I'm going to score 1/2 inch. This is the piece that is 4 1/4 wide by 5 1/2 tall, and along, or 6 1/2 tall, and along the 6 1/2 inch edge, I scored it at 1/2 inch at the bottom and at the top. And I'm going to cut this between the two score lines, upper left and lower right. And that way you don't have any triangular scraps left over, because we're going to use both pieces. See? You're going to have two pieces like this, and that's going to be two of our flaps. And this panel is just A2 in size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and you're going to need two of those. So this piece here is 1 inch wider than our A2 size. So it's 5 1/4 wide, and that's the edge that you want to put on the top of your scoreboard. 5 1/4 wide. You want to score it at 1/2 inch, rotate 180 degrees, and score it at 1/2 inch. So it's 5 1/2 tall, because that's our A2, and you want to do the same thing, except that we want to mirror the cut. So in this case, we are cutting from top right to the lower left, and you're cutting from one score line to the other, so that you have these triangular pieces with a 1/2 inch glue tab on the back. And I'm also going to cut, you'll end up needing, the one thing that I did really like about the way that Delise did hers is that the middle section was very solid, really secure. So I'm going to replicate that by cutting a second 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 panel. That way the back piece, the center portion, is also really secure, very substantial, and it feels sturdy. On each of the four pieces, that is basically a triangle with a 1/2 inch glue tab, I'm going to put a line of double-sided adhesive right up to the edge, and then I'm going to miter the corners on those glue tabs so that when we fold them over, there's not going to be a lot of overlapping cardstock. This is a good time for me to mention that my video today is part of our monthly team-wide hop, where we share with you inspiration featuring all of the new subscription clubs of the month. So if you want to see some inspiration featuring the box of the month, or the paper pad club, which is what I'm crafting with, or the stamp of the month, expand the description box and you're going to find a playlist where all of our videos have been collected. And as well, in that description box, you're going to see a form where you can enter for a chance to win a $25 gift certificate to shop at Not Too Shabby. So even though I already have double-sided dry adhesive on each of these glue tabs, I'm still going to put a little squiggle of liquid adhesive so that this becomes really permanent and secure. And what I'm going to do is line up each of these triangular pieces to the front, flip to the back, and then just fold over so that it's all secure. And of course, I'm going to burnish every time I adhere something down. I like to use my ergonomic bone folder to burnish it, because whatever adhesive is your favorite adhesive, it will always benefit from a good burnish. In the case of liquid adhesive, that helps to spread out that glue. You're less likely to get glue lines, but also it just makes more contact, because once that glue spreads out, it's going to touch more of your cardstock. And in the case of double-sided dry adhesive, it helps to knock out the air that would otherwise exist between the adhesive and your papers. And air ultimately can lead to that adhesive drying out completely and losing its stick. So now time to decorate. That's our card base, and I'm gonna pick a few of the patterns from the Rugged Birthday paper pad. I love this paper pad. It's like a cousin to the Grit and Grunge collection, or paper pad that came out earlier this year, in fact. And I think the two would go really nicely together. You could probably mix and match the papers between them. But I really love the color palette. I love that if you're making cards for guys, men in your life, this really makes it easy. It's not to say that, men can't enjoy a nice floral card, but I do feel like this does make it a lot easier for particularly the people in your life who love the outdoors. So I've picked a couple that of patterns that I think will go nicely together, like they'll complement one another, and I cut them to 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 tall. And I cut it from corner to corner in half so that I get 2 triangles. Now, we want to do the same thing because the triangles are kind of going in opposing diagonals. So for one sheet, you want to cut from top left to bottom right. For the other sheet, you want to do the mirror of that, top right to bottom left. And that way you have the correct orientation. Now, if you kind of miscut, you can always flip to the back. That's the beauty of double-sided pattern paper. It may not necessarily be the combination of pattern paper that you originally picked, but it's also not the end of the world. Or you could always make another one of these cards because it's a lot of fun. Now this pattern I cut again also to 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 tall, and that's one for some decorative, bringing some of that paper inside the card. But now it also becomes pretty much like a third layer in for that middle section of this card, which again adds more strength and sturdiness to the card. One of the things that Delise said when she was teaching us how to make this during Mystery Craft Along was that not only can it be a card, but you could actually, if you wanted, you could put a little, relatively, not overly dimensional, but you could put a little bit of a gift inside. So something kind of flat, like maybe a candy bar, or if you like to do swaps, you could put like an ATC in there, or maybe even like a little bit of like Happy Mail, like some stash or some scraps off of your mask. So could be really fun to just use it as like a little pouch almost to give a little gift. And what I thought that I would do to decorate the inside is there's a little bit of a travel theme with this, and especially the sentiment that I want to use reads "Another year, another adventure." And so I pulled out the two kind of travel postage themed stamp sets that Jamie has in the shop. Actually, I think one of them is already sold out. The other one might be too. But special delivery that came out when Easy Wonder Die number 3 came out, and I think that's the one that's out of stock. And October's stamp of the month. That one is also postage theme. It's a holiday postage theme one, and that one's called Merry Mail. But there are some stamps in that set that aren't specifically holiday. So I pulled out a couple, and I just did like an all over random stamping on those triangular flaps. And it makes it kind of fun. It makes it feel like it's more than just plain craft color cardstock. So, and whenever I'm doing like a random stamping like this, I try to start with the larger images, because smaller images you can always kind of use them to fill in odd spaces, and also try to be sure to stamp off the edge so that it just feels like, oh, this was just like maybe a big sheet of pattern paper and you cut it down. And for some designs, it may not even matter too much if you overlap a little bit, or I didn't do it in this case, but it could also be kind of fun to do second, maybe even third generation stamping, just so that you have some depth, a little bit of dimension, where some of the stamped images are a little lighter, and then that makes it also easier if you do want to overlap some of your stamps. What I try to go for is kind of an even amount of quote white space. In this case, the white space is craft, but an even amount of white space surrounding the images. Now, what I've done is I took 2 oval dies from Easy Wonder Die number 2 add-on, and the larger one I cut out of craft, the smaller one I cut out of white, and I just put a piece of ephemera that's part of the cut-apart design, also part of the paper pad, and I stamped out my sentiment. Now, this Pinwheel tuck card does tend to want to spring open a little bit, so a belly band will help it to stay closed. So I found some dark brown cardstock that I thought would be a nice contrast to the papers that I was using. And from one of the leftover pattern papers, just like a little 2-inch strip, I was actually able to die cut the smaller, like the seam oval that's part of the add-on to Easy Wonder Die number 2. I was able to get that cut out, and even though there's a gap, I always do my belly bands this way. I wrap it from the back so that the 2 ends are in front, and even if they don't overlap, it's okay, because most of the time I do something like this, where I'm gonna put some ephemera or a die cut or something in the center to decorate the belly band a little bit. And so if there's like a little bit of a gap, not a problem. If it overlaps, all the better, but if it doesn't, that's okay. We can hide that. The reason why I like to do my belly bands this way is, one, when you're basically done with your card, then you kind of know how chunky it's going to be. And so you can wrap that belly band essentially to fit. And I always like putting like a little bit of a soft bend in my belly band and wrapping it so that it's not just going to slip off, but it's not so tight that it makes it hard to slip on and off. And then I just use, I actually fussy cut these myself from that cut apart page. And I just collage that up in the center there so that you have something a little bit interesting and like a nice organic little shape. And on the back, it's nice and neat because you don't have a seam on the back either, because we hid the seam on the front. So that's why I like to do my belly bands that way, because then the back is also nice and tidy. And here's a final look at the inside of the card. So I love that this is such a fun card. It might be a little bit chunky, so if you send it through the mail, you might have to pay a little bit of extra postage, but I think it's really special, and think of all the ways that you can decorate the inside of that. Thanks so much for checking out my video today. Don't forget to hop along and check out everybody else's video in that playlist in the description box. And good luck on the $25 giveaway. The link to enter that is also in the description box below. Thanks again, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.